Hello, good morning, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks everybody for tuning in today for one of our first streams here for training. Today we're going to mainly be covering Dispatch Anywhere and also the impound feature of our new software. The chat feature is active, so if you guys have any questions, go ahead and just type them in and I'll be able to answer questions as we're going here. So it looks like most people are connected at this point. For anybody that doesn't know, YouTube does have a DVR feature, so if you're a little bit late, you're able to rewind and start over. The stream is also going to be recorded, so it will be posted up on our YouTube probably within about a half hour after the training today. So again, welcome. My name is Matt. I'm the trainer here at Beacon Software. I've been here for about 5 years now. I've met some people at the different shows, but for anybody I haven't, got a webcam here today, so we'll kind of get started here. So a lot of our customers that are probably watching are existing DA2 users. So what we're going to be doing is, I won't go into detail about exactly how to take a call because most people are familiar with that. I do want to show some of the new features and how to dispatch calls in the new system. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go ahead and take a new call. So I'll hit create job up here in the corner. If you have multiple divisions, it'll be here, but we have one for green light towing, and we're going to choose our account. In this case, we're going to choose Bob's Cadillac. Hello. All right, so we'll go ahead, we'll make up some information here. Now, if this was a motor club call, these would feed in automatically for you. If it's an account call, we would just type it in. The different fields that you see that are highlighted, it's the same as DA2. Yellow fields are going to be required entry fields for our dispatchers. The orangish fields are going to be required fields for our drivers. And then the pink fields are required accounting fields or information that needs to be on this call before we dispatch or before we bill this call to a customer. All right, so we'll put an address in here. Make up a car. And that should be enough for the call information. We'll go ahead and add our services. At the bottom, we can notice immediately that the bottom service section looks a little bit different. We don't have all those columns that we're used to in DA2. Our drop downs are the same. I'm going to put a tow on this call. Our plus sign will add the service, whereas save used to be kind of up here in DA2. Our mileage services work very similar. Instead of the 3 dots, we're going to have this calculator icon now. Once you click on it, you don't have to do anything else other than click the OK button, unless we need to modify these addresses for whatever reason. We also now have a return or deadhead miles calculator built into the new system. So any customers that are getting deadhead miles on their motor club jobs now can do it automatically. And again, it figures out the distance for you, but we'll keep it at en route. This will also round to 1/10 of a mile for you now. So a lot of the motor clubs are rounding to 1/10 of a mile. So if you have that set in your settings, this will be a little bit closer as far as sales are concerned. Add a mileage service. Again, I just hit our calculator icon. Press OK. And then save it on the call. Now, if we had default services, I could have as easily just pressed this button to add those on here. But we have all the services we needed. Our comment section is now visible here. Previously, again, in DA2, it was all the way to the right. But with this, now we can see the comments. Any comments that I do put in here, our customers will see on their invoices. In our case, for our mileages, we just have it here. Now, I talked about all those other columns. A lot of those columns are used for accounting purposes. So they're still there. It's just under this edit pencil here. So if I click it here for en route, I can see any of my discounts that I either will apply or might have already automatically applied. If I'm applying any sort of tax, I can do it here. My commissions is here as well. This is a new feature in our new system. We can do split commissions on a call now. So normally, commissions is paid to whoever we assign the call to. With this new feature, I can pick, maybe this is going to go to Brian, for example, and I'm going to pay him, I don't know, $5 for this service. So I can do that now and break up services so I don't have to do split calls anymore. And then the billing tab here, this is going to be all the posting information, when the invoice is created, when it was paid. We'll see all that information on this last tab. So if I do any sort of split commissions, we get a little icon down here at the bottom that shows the little green guy. Basically, that just means that this service is going to be paid to somebody else other than who was assigned to the call. So this is a completed call. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. This is going to be your address verifier, just like the other system. These will spot the call on the map for us. Same thing for the destination down here. I'll go ahead and save this call. Now this call appeared in my waiting screen here. So what we're looking at is a classic grid. A lot of people are used to this from DA2. This is going to be a good layout for people that are transitioning over into this system. It's also a nice view if you're doing like higher volume type of calls. We do have other views now to make it a little bit easier though. So if we go to the corner here and large grid, I'm now combining columns into one field. So it's a little bit easier to see. And if we scroll left and right, all the columns are still there. These are all sortable too. So if, for example, vehicle information is more important to you, I can go ahead and move this over here. And any other fields, maybe destination, for example, you can move these all around. These are going to be customizable to whoever's logged in. Previously it was per computer. Now it's going to be per user. So you can customize these screens as you see fit. The details view will allow you to click on a call and see all the call information or a majority of the call information to the right without having to open up the call. So if you don't have a ton of calls on the board, this is also a good view to manage your calls. And finally, I think the reason a lot of us are switching over to the new system is the map view. I'm going to zoom in here to our jobs here. So our boxes are going to be our jobs. Our circles are going to be our drivers or trucks moving around on the map here. Again, I'm in the waiting screen, so I only see my waiting calls. If I wanted to see my assigned calls, I click on that. And if I wanted to see all calls, I can click on the company name, and it puts everything in one big map for me. We still have the option to detach the map right up here. It's a little bit hard to see on that one, but this will put it on another window. So if you need to maybe have two monitors, for example, you can view the map at all times. And then if we need to change, maybe we want to see a satellite view or the truck type versus the vehicle number, etc., we can change all that here. We got a question here. Can we enter in the comments field the coverage limit or what is owed and the driver see it? It's a good question. You don't want to enter it. Let's go ahead and open up our call that we were just working on here. This information, if you put it here down in the comments section, your customer is going to see that information, not the driver. If you need notes for the driver, at least by default, the notes and directions field here are typically turned on for your driver. So we'd have to possibly check your settings. So unless you shut it off, they should be seeing everything in this box. There is a remarks box down here to the right. This box is usually for internal type notes. Now some people do turn this on for their drivers also, but by default it's shut off. So we can look again at your settings, and if we need to change things around we can, but normally your drivers see this, or you could use your member, mileage, or copay boxes as well and put that same information in those boxes. So let's save it. So I'm going to work off of the details view here. So now that we have our call, we're going to go ahead and dispatch this out to a driver. So we have the same features that we're used to. I can take my driver from the list here, drag them up to the call, and I have my driver in whatever vehicle that they're assigned to. So I can use this, or I can change it if I need to. I can take the call and drag it to the driver. That works just as well. Or we have a new feature. If you highlight or hover over the call, there's a quick action here. There's also up across the toolbar our assign feature. A lot of the features that you're used to in DA2 with you would right click doesn't work in our new system. All the features that you're used to are going to be up across the top toolbar now. So this assign or this quick action both do the same thing. What this is going to do, this is going to take you into a recommended tow mode. So I can start sorting my drivers by who has the best ETA now, who's the most fuel efficient, who's been idling the longest, or round robin is just the next person in line to get the call. So I have, looks like Dennis is the only one logged in right now. At least Steve and Alex, I don't have their location. Their GPS could be turned off. But based on this, Dennis is the best option for best ETA. He's currently 9.13 miles away from this call. So it tells me where they're at. Now if I scroll this a little bit further down, me, Nick, and Brian are also on the list, but we're a little bit further down because I'm assigned to one call, Nick's assigned to one call, and Brian's currently assigned to two. And based on my timestamps, I'm only 2% done of the one job. But when all is said and done, wherever I end up, I'll end up being 9.12 miles from my final destination. So it takes that into account now, so you don't have to remember where your drivers are going to be at. This will kind of do it for you. I may end up being the closest or maybe the most fuel efficient possibly, but after, I just more or less started this call, so I'm probably going to be a little bit. So this might help with some of your dispatch decisions. But again, if you kind of know who you're going to send on the call, you can just drag them up to the call here and press assign. All your driver's timestamps come back just the same. There's nothing different about that. The only thing, let's pick on a driver that went en route. Now, this call's a little bit older. This is our test database. But once your driver timestamps it en route, this will automatically calculate a calculated arrival time based on where they're at. So on 8:24, at this point, this would have been Brian. He should have arrived at this call at 2:53 p.m. Now, obviously, again, we're over our ETAs, but this is a test call. But this might help you with some of your dispatch decisions, or at least maybe if you're getting calls from customers now. Hey, I've been here for 2 hours now. Where are you guys at? You can look at this timestamps and be like, oh, based on my driver where he's at right now, he may be there right around 3 o'clock. You may want to throw a little bit of extra time in there for traffic, for example, but that is available. Now, if you're not on that view and you're on maybe a large or a classic grid, for example, that column's still there. It's just over to the right-hand side there. So it's also on the classic here. And it's all the way with the timestamps to the right. So calculated arrival. So those are still there. It depends what view you like, again, when you're dispatching. Now, if you need to possibly manually timestamp a call for a driver, which normally doesn't happen, but it can, that's up across the toolbar now. So I can pick whatever I need to. If I need to unassign the call for whatever reason, maybe the driver can't do this or I have to assign it to somebody else, I can click on this button to unassign the call. This will move it back to the previous screen. I can cancel a call if I need to. It's up across the top now. Take payment, preview my invoice, or in the more section, this is where I can now duplicate the call. Previously it was inside the call. I can view any payments or receipts on here. This is a security setting though, so everybody's not going to be able to do this. The print call function, there's some customers that used to use this, but it is kind of in here now. The tow ticket, which is previously something only the driver could send, you can get this now from the software. And then an audit log. We are recording a little bit more in the new system than previously in DA2. The audit log's a little bit easier to read. But again, this is a security setting, so everybody's not going to have access to this. But we're going to go ahead and take a couple payments here. Let's say I know I'm going to take a payment here on this call. The enter payment screen looks very similar. I can do the payment methods, let's just say like cash, for example, and still take the payment just like I'm used to. A little bit different here though. We have this edit applied amounts button here. I can now direct where the money is going to go. Maybe this customer is only going to pay for this impound fee and nothing else. I can specifically say $25 is going here and take a payment against this line item, whereas previously in DA2 it just kind of randomly applied down the line your payments. So it might have locked services that you didn't want to lock, or you possibly had reverse payments previously in DA2. This, you can really direct the money where it's supposed to go when you're doing an enter payment. So let's just say we'll pay that off here and then hit take payment. So payment's recorded, then it tells me my remaining amount. In this case, it's 150. Oh, we got a couple questions. Can you copy and paste on here? Like if we wanted to copy the contract, yes. The copy and paste here, let me leave this up. Let me go back into that same call here. So again, most people are used to right-clicking, copy and paste, And here it's very similar. Just highlight the whatever you're trying to copy. You have to use the keyboard shortcuts. Control C will copy. Control V will paste now. So it's a little keyboard shortcut you got to use for this system because right clicking doesn't work. If you need to cut anything for whatever reason, Control X will cut it, and then again Control V will paste it. So that's how you copy and paste in the new system. Good question though, a lot of people ask that. If you reassign a job, does it reset the timestamps? Yes. Your timestamps are going to start over. So any timestamps, like if I look at the dispatch tab here now, if I would unassign this call and reassign it to a new driver, all of this would disappear and it would start over again. At least the dispatch assign and confirmed and so forth from the drivers would be reset. The originally received and all that would stay the same because you're not changing any of that information. How to copy the control number. That was added in the last feature or the last update. So as long as your things are updated here, you can now highlight this and hit Control C. That was 2 days ago that the update came out, but you can copy that now. So, actually, let's use that call real quick. So that payment that I just took, it does give me a receipt and an invoice, assuming your settings are turned on for that stuff. You can immediately see invoices or receipts or statements now can have your company logo on it. So we can upload those now on our new settings page. We could do a whole training just on settings, and that would probably be our next video that we're going to do. But we can upload that now here so we can see it on here. When you take a payment, though, on the call, we have a little lock next to the services that we took payment on. So if I use this as an example just for that receipts option here, previously in DA2 to find a payment, you kind of had to dig around in the accounting section, and it usually took a little bit if you didn't know, especially if you didn't know your reference number that you used. You can do it right off the call now, so I can view payments and receipts. So in this case, this was only the one that I took for 25. But from here, I can print up the receipt again. I can view the invoice, or I can undo my payment. So if I select it and undo, so undo payment. If we have credit card integration and this was a credit card payment, we can put the money back on the credit card. There could be reasons why you don't want to do that, so you can unselect it here. So hit undo. It's going to back out one receipt for me just like the other system, and I press OK. So it's a little bit easier to find payments now in the new system, right off the call though. Right. The only other option you have in this More section, there's also an icon for it to the left of it now, is you can upload photos right from here, or you can click on the Photos tab. This one doesn't have any. If I had some on my desktop, I could just drag and drop them right over to this section as well. So a couple easier ways. The only other thing with photos or pictures, if your driver does take any now, again, previously in DA2, you kind of had to guess if something was there. You'd have to click on the Pictures tab to see if something was in there. We're going to put a little number count of how many pictures or signatures are saved to this call. So without even just opening the call and looking, you'll see if there's any pictures saved to the call. So it's a newer feature as well. And save it. We'll go out of here. Let's see here. Save this. Go here. Now, I'm going to show you in this demo database that I have one division, which is Greenlight Towing. Some of our customers have multiple divisions or multiple locations. So I'm going to bring up our other one here. So this is the same thing. So in this database, in this test database, you can see that I have multiple divisions. Now when managing my calls, if I click on all divisions, I would see every single call that I'm working on. And again, I have a little count for how many were waiting assigned and so forth. Let's say I want to make a custom division. Maybe I just have certain areas or sections I want to group together. That's what this Customize button does down here. So if I hit, I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call it Matt's custom division, and maybe I just want to see our Greenlight, Ryan Test Division, and Ryan Test Division 2, and maybe that's it. So I hit OK. So now I have Matt's custom division here, and it's going to group those 3 divisions in our case into one view. So again, companies with multiple divisions may need to customize this depending on maybe what a person's working on or what they want to see, for example. So there is a way to make custom divisions just like DA2. DA2 had little checkboxes though. So go back to the normal one we're working in here. Other than that, a few other customized things you can do on the screen here. This is our driver list over here, our truck list. You have different groupings for your drivers and vehicles, depending on how you want to see them. This little button, you can kind of see it all the way in the bottom left-hand corner here. This will collapse that menu, so I can still get to all the same information here and just bring it out like a little menu. So if you want to see a little bit more of the screen, you do have that option as well. But overall, that's the main dispatch screen. I'm going to send one of these calls. I'm going to send this illegally parked here to our impound. So I'm going to use this drop down. So we have multiple storage lots. I'm going to send this to the green light yard, and I know it's going to impound because it has the impound flag next to it, and it will gray out our address now. Now this feature is a little bit different too in the software. We do have an autofill function now, and that's why you're seeing in these drop downs all these different accounts that you have. What you can do in your settings, again, if you have the correct address or the address entered for that account, so if I put, let's say I cleared out this address, for example, and I said that this call was going to Bob's Cadillac, which is one of our accounts. I type it in here, it fills in the address automatically for me because it's saved on the account. Same thing for the destination. If you pick the account or you pick your impound, it will autofill the address for you. So that's a little bit newer feature as well in this software, but again, you have to have it set up in your settings. Can you add the signature to the invoice receipt? Yes, that is being worked on right now. That should hopefully be ready soon. It's on there if the driver prints it out now from the field. It's on there, but you'd have to have the Bluetooth printers. It's not showing up on the printed version though, but it will. That should almost be done, hopefully released here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, absolutely, that's been a big request as well. So we'll have it on there. How can we take a car out of impound? So are we asking for impound how to release it, or if we accidentally marked it as impound and we wanted to basically remove the impound flag? I can show you both ways. We get questions on both. I'll go over how to release a car here in a second. But if, let's just say like this call, remove the impound flag, that's a good question. So if I set this, you're like, oh wait, that wasn't supposed to go to the green light yard for whatever reason. We may end up adding like a none or remove feature at the top here. Currently there's not any. The only way to remove the impound flag is just to choose a different account right now. If there is an address, it's going to try to ask you, do you want to change it? In our case, I'm going to hit no. And see how it ungrays this field here? That's the only way right now to remove the impound flag. But again, I've talked to the developers about possibly adding a remove or none type of feature at the top there. But just choosing a different account right now will remove the impound flag. As long as this is not grayed out, it will not go to impound. Or if it's in impound, it will make it a finished call instead. So we'll send this one. I'm going to remove. I don't want the storage service on here right now. I'm going to save it. Verify those are fine. And then I'm going to manually finish this call up. So we'll pretend the driver did this. It got brought back to our impound. So once the car's an impound, or if I'm searching for an impounded vehicle, typically you're going to be searching for an impounded vehicle. We can do it a couple different ways. If I go to my impound button right up top, this is going to show me recently impounded vehicles, recently released. And then if you have multiple storage lots, it's going to give you just a total call count or car count for each lot or how many cars are in there. So I'm going to pick this green light yard. So if I can find it within the list here, I can just choose it. If I have more than 25 calls in here, so a lot of people have more than 25 cars in their impound, you may need to do the show more option because it only loads 25 at a time. And we do that so it's faster search results, but if you need to load more, you may be able to find it in this list. You may have to search for it a different way, which I'll show you here in a second. How do we add, remove new accounts and employees? I'll go into the settings part here in a little bit. I can show you exactly how to do that. Bring back the classic impound screen, please. That's been asked a lot. I'll show you how you can kind of get around it right now. But yes, that is planned to have different views within the impound section, but I'll show you a workaround right now. That'd be the other way that you typically search for an impounded vehicle. How do you change or add the logo for invoices? I'll show you in the settings screen here in just a second. We'll go into that right after the impound. So again, if you can find it here, you may be able to. Chances are you're going to be using this new search function over here on the right hand side. Now if I type in here, this is a general search. This is going to search all the different parts of your call. So if I typed in Matt, for example, this is going to go through and look for a customer's name. Might have been Matt. It could have been my driver. It could have been somewhere in the notes section. So it's a general search. So depending on how many search results come back on that, that may or may not be a good solution for you. You're probably going to use the advanced search, which is probably what you're used to from DA2. And we get this a lot. So if I know when it was finished, now we did some canned responses here like yesterday, this month, last week to try to get a date range for you without having to actually choose a full date range. If you need an actual date or date range, it's buried here at the bottom. So I get asked this a lot, you know, how do I choose a date range? So it's down here, and let's say, I was going to go back a couple months here because I don't know what kind of calls I have here in our test database. So I'll just say from July 1st till today, and I specifically want to search for impound. I may have other information, but let's just say I have a date range and I want to search impound only. I do a search. So it's going to search my impound. Now if I want to do classic grid, when I'm doing that, I change this, and now again I can see my classic grid for just my impound calls. So there is a workaround for it, but yes, we do need to put that in the impound section. So you can just search right from there. But this is kind of a temporary workaround for the impound stuff. So I could also do, I get asked a lot, you know, I just want to see my finished calls from yesterday. So I can easily change my filter to finished and yesterday, for example. I don't know what I have in here. Yeah, I don't have anything. Let's try it again. Let's do this week. So one call in our test database. Obviously, you're going to have more calls in your database, but it's an easy way to search if you're just trying to get those numbers like you used to be able to get out of DA2. But I can still break it down, you know, per division. You know, I can do it by when it's received, which driver, so on and so forth. So I have the same search criteria. The only thing that needs to be added in here is vehicle number, but they're going to be adding that in here hopefully soon within the next couple of releases anyways. But short of that, this should be the same exact search that you're used to out of DA2. Anything new on the dispatchers being able to see the remarks field in accounts? Actually, that's a good question. What we're going to be doing is the notes section. It's going to start with the phones. The notes section in your, actually not in here, in your settings part of it. If you're going to put notes in there, those are going to show up on the, first on the phone and then in here. And my guess is they're going to put it either somewhere maybe in this section to the right possibly, or maybe somewhere else, or maybe even another tab. We're going to bring it over from the settings page so it's on the call to make it easier. But yeah, that's a good question. They're working on it right now, like I said, for the phone part of it, but it's going to be on the account part maybe either right around the same time or maybe a little bit after. So but that is a good question. So let's close this. So let me get an older car here. Let's do, let's see, how long has this been in here? I want to get something for a couple days. Let me scroll back here. Let's do like this one. This one's been in here for 17 days, this Honda Accord. So if I open up the call and I want to release it, or maybe the customer's calling and I want to just see what it's going to be for storage. My estimate and release button's still here, just like I'm used to. So I go ahead and click on that. If I haven't added storage as a line item on the call and I have multiple storage line items available for this account, it's going to ask me which one I want to choose. So let's just say I want storage. Everything's going to be calculated just like we're used to, and I could go through and, customers paying cash, if I have a reference number, who I'm releasing it to. Maybe this is Copart, for example. Or if I had the owner's information, this button, I could enter in their driver's license information if I wanted to, and then I could release it just like normal. We recently added, if maybe you're going to discount this storage, whatever the reason is, maybe the customer only has so much money, you want to get rid of this car, get it out of your impound. You click on this little pencil icon here, and we can either change the unit price here, or you can add a discount here. The difference is, if I edit the unit price, so maybe the customer only has, I'm only going to charge them $500 in this case for storage. Click OK. At the end of the day, your sales, your total, everything is 100% correct. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. The only difference is it's not recorded. So if you try to figure out what you're discounting these cars a month from now, a year from now, whatever it is, it's not going to show anywhere. If you use the discount field here, so let's reset this back to what it was. Hit storage. Let's say I'm discounting this. I'm just going to put 250, for example. Put minus 250 because I want to bring it down. If I would have left it as just a whole number 250, it would have increased that price. It discounts my call down. Again, my sales, my job, everything is still 100% correct. The difference is if you're using the discount field correctly, there's a report that shows all those discounts. It's going to show your actual sales versus your discounted sales. So if that's something you're trying to keep track of to make sure you're not discounting too much, or make sure that, if you have people that have the security to discount anyways, they're not discounting too much, you want to use this field versus changing the unit price. Again, there's not a right or wrong way to do it. It's just one way's trackable, one way's not. So let's just say we'll do cash on this one. I usually use the call number as my reference number. You guys can use something else if you have it. Say this is Copart. Say it's releasing into me. And if I wanted to enter this information, Marshall Road, and I hit OK. My vehicle is released, and my payment for, in this case, $645 is recorded, and I hit OK. I will get a itemized receipt. You may use a receipt if you use multiple payment methods. You may have 2 or 3 different receipts. Maybe it was a cash, credit, whatever it is. And then I get my invoice that's paid. Once you have these, you can still print them. You can still email them. You can still fax them right from the software. Or if you need to save it maybe as a PDF or TIFF file, Excel, whatever it is, those features are all still there. It's just buried under this little save icon here. So all the same features from DA2, again, carried over. I'll close these tabs out. And then all my items are locked here. Now, let's say what happens. Wait, that wasn't the right car. It was supposed to be a 2015 Honda Accord. My dispatcher released the wrong one. You have to have the right security for this, but that same button that previously was an estimate and release is now an undo release button. So I can click that now. If I have the security again, I can reverse the payment that was taken on it at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Undo. Again, it backs out a receipt, and it puts my car back into impound. Usually, at least by default, the admin level has the security level. But if we need to possibly give it to our dispatchers, maybe they'll be able to do that. But it's the same button right up top there. Where's the synchronize button? There is no synchronize button, at least not right now. What's supposed to be happening is it should be pushing out all the updates automatically for you. Now, I know there's some times where it's not doing that 100% of the time. Definitely if you're logged into the new system and the old system at the same time with the same login, you will not get a push. It will actually stop pushing, I believe, in both systems. Definitely in the new system, you just won't get a push of any updates. The only thing that we've seen, and we released it with the last update, we did an update where it should update everything. We tested with disconnecting and reconnecting, sometimes different internets if they're not fast enough or reconnect fast enough. We've seen it where it wasn't previously getting all the push messages. The last release, I haven't seen it really at all, at least in my testing. But if you're still getting that, let us know. We're still keeping an eye on it, but it should be automatically reconnecting. Now, here's the other thing. Anybody, as of actually today, if we want to start using the new system and the old system at the same time, every company has now gotten an extra user. So if you're a 1 user, you now get a second user. If you're a 2 user, you have 3 users, so on and so forth. So if you need extra people in the system, or maybe a new login, and then maybe keep the old one up at the same time, we just have to create a separate login for you. But we can do that. That way you can use both systems. So if you know where something is at in the old system and you have to do something quickly, you can do that while you're kind of still playing around the new system. But the only really synchronize or refresh button that we have right now is in the accounting section. It's up here on the left. We may be adding one up here though, if we still see that where it's not reconnecting. So we've talked about that in multiple meetings, so we may see it. But again, if you're seeing where it's not getting push messages and you know you're not logged into both systems, let us know. We may be forced to kind of add it until we figure that out 100%. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to that impound. I'm going to show you one other thing here, then we can jump into the settings part here too. So let's take that same Honda Accord. It's back in impound. This may happen every once in a while where you get a customer that wants to pay 2 different payment types. In DA2 that wasn't possible. It was one payment type and that was it. So we do have a regular take payment button now. The only time you ever use take payment, split payments, or if somebody's actually truly just making a partial payment on a car that's in your impound, possibly insurance, for example. Let's just say they're going to pay you up through today, but maybe they're not going to pick it up until, I don't know, next Wednesday, for example. They can make a partial payment. You can record it in the system. That doesn't mean storage stops. So if you do a take payment, whether it's a true partial payment or a split payment, if you don't release the car, it's going to stay in your impound. It's going to keep accruing storage. So let's just say this customer is doing, I'm going to use check. We do have a credit card option. I can't do that right now because we have the credit card integration set up with our test database. So if I try to do this and I don't put real credit card information in, it won't run. So let's say it's a check. Let's say they're going to pay $300 here. I hit take payment. Payments recorded for $300. I still have $345 left over. I still get a receipt. I still get an invoice, not paid though. And then let's say the other half is cash. That's when I hit my estimate and release button. So it locked some of the services because some of it's been paid. I'm going to pay the remaining amount in cash. 1, 2, 3, for example. Release vehicle. Now my car's been released from impound and I recorded the remaining amount of the call balance. This is where you got to be careful, and I see this all the time with customers switching over or new customers starting the software. Dispatchers like to use that take payment option and pay the entire amount off, and that's it. Then they think they're done and they never release out of impound. So that car sits in the impound and it continually accrues storage, even though they took a payment for whatever the full amount, or at least what it told them the full amount was. You really have to make sure you do the undo, or I'm sorry, it would actually be the release / estimate vehicle button to fully release it. The payment and the release are typically done in the same step. Again, the only time you use take payment is for split payments or if somebody's truly making a partial payment on a vehicle. So just be careful about that because we had to go back for a lot of customers and fix this. So I see it's a common mistake between dispatchers. They're using the take payment instead of the release button. Our dispatches aren't auto-populating all the time. There's something we need to do different. Just make sure you're not logged into both systems at the same time. That's really the only time I've seen it really not populate. I mean, unless internet is spotty, usually that's the only time I've ever seen it really that bad where they're not auto-populating at the same time. But 9 times out of 10, we find out that the dispatchers are logged into both systems at the same time. Hello, how we doing? Um, so just be careful. If you still aren't getting it, let us log into the computer. There's been a bunch of times where I've done that too, and I found that old DA is running in the background. So we had to kill old DA, have him relog back into the new system, and everything was fine. But let us know, because like I said, we did that last update to try to fix that. In my testing, it's been fine. But again, I know it's different for everybody else, so let us know so we can, if we need to fix that, we can still work on that. But the last release, as long as you did the last update, which should have been automatic for you in the new system, it should fix that. Can we do statements from beta now? Yes, you can. Before I jump into the settings, I'm going to look at the accounting section here real quick. I'm just going to do Bob's Cadillac, for example. I could pick a date range now. There's some customers that want to pick like truly a month's worth of statements. Most of the time a statement should be all open balances, but there are customers that want to run just truly a single month. So you can set a date range. If you leave this top one blank though and set it through whatever you want to run it through, end of the month, whatever it is, you can hit run report and it should generate a statement here. Now this is a different statement style for Bob's Cadillac. There's 7 or so different statement styles you can choose from, but this is one of them with the vehicle information. Is this for the same person logged in? Well, the same person can't be logged into both systems at the same time. So if I have a login and I'm logged in with that login into DA2, for example, I need a whole brand new login for the new system if I want to be logged into both at the same time. But that's also, again, why we're giving you guys a free user, so you can log into both systems to use them at the same time as you slowly transition over into the new system. But most of the time, like I said, the problem is typically because people are logged into both systems at the same time. It's a bug where DA2 lets you log into both. So quick kind of recap on the accounting side. I'm not going to go into super detail about this one just because there is really so much on the accounting side. I can spend a whole nother training just on the accounting side, but all your posting of your calls, your motor club billing, invoices, statements, payments, so on and so forth, your commissions, all is going to be done from here now, whereas in DA2 it was just an accounting section which listed a list of your accounts. Those are still there. Those are in the settings, which we're going to take a look at here in a second. But I'm going to do probably another stream just on the accounting side of it because there is so much. I could spend easily 90 minutes on the accounting section. Just know it is quicker. Enter payments doesn't have the little bug where you can only do so many invoices at a certain time. So if you have a huge check with a bunch of invoices on it, you're not going to get stuck or stopped because the limitation of DA2. And as far as motor club billing, just speed-wise or the amount of calls you can do, the most I've ever done for a customer, because they were kind of backed up, I was helping them with their billing because they had some trouble with it. We did 149 invoices and it billed out in about a minute. So DA2 was maybe like 12 calls a minute, if that, and it kind of froze your system. Once you started billing, you couldn't do anything else. It was hit your billing button, and if there was a bunch there, go walk away because your system's locked up. With this one, it puts it in a queue. So you could hit the button, then a dispatch comes in. You can flip-flop between your tabs. Maybe you need to run a report, do whatever you need to do. Everything works off the server now, not on your local machine. So stuff isn't going to get tied up or kind of bogged down because you're trying to do something. So with billing in here, you can bill a lot more for customers doing our motor club billing in the system. Can we change color settings on the pop-up address box when setting up a job? It has a gray letters with a royal box. It's hard to read in a hurry. Not at this time. We don't have anything that can change. You're talking about the little notifications that pop up in the corner there. At this time, we don't have anything that can change the colors. We are getting a lot of customer requests as people move over to the new system to do that. So I'm going to put it in as a customer request. I'm going to actually talk about it this Monday in our meeting with the developers to see what we can do about that. But there's been a lot of customers that have been asking about the different colors, changing stuff like that. In addition to that, kind of going hand in hand, some customers have been asking, like I can't really see it, or is there a zoom function? Because DA2 really didn't have a zoom function. It's built in, but it's kind of hidden. It's kind of like an Easter egg. If you hold your control button and use the scroll wheel on your mouse and scroll it up and down, we can zoom this thing in as much as you want to. So it's a little shortcut there if you're having trouble seeing it. But again, control and then use your mouse wheel to scroll it in or back as much as you need to. We get a GOA status on timestamps. Who is that coming from, though? Is a GOA status coming from the motor clubs or from the drivers? If it's coming back as a digital from the motor club, we probably could do something like that where we could re-update the call for you or at least notify you if something's changing. If it's from the driver, you could do a couple different things. If you give the driver the ability to change services, they can do that in the field and just update the call for you. Now, that doesn't mean they can see pricing. That's up to you if you wanted to be able to see pricing. But you can allow your drivers to update the call with a service only without seeing any pricing. So a lot of our customers want to hide pricing from their drivers, but they allow them to add a service to it. There is an option where we can have them add just GOA for you, and then you're still going to have to call back to the motor clubs for that stuff, though, to make sure you get approval for it. But there is a way to have the call updated. Now, if they update it in the field like that, you will get a pop-up down in the corner that tells you that the job's been updated. And speaking of notifications, up here on your name, this little notifications drop down. Depending on what you're working on, volume, etc., you may need to change your notifications because we have a lot of them now that populate here. So you may not need to see when jobs are assigned or when they're canceled or whatever the case may be. So you can customize this as you see fit for kind of what you're working on, especially higher volume. And I see a lot of higher volume roadside companies. They need to shut some of this stuff off because they're just constantly getting jobs in or jobs constantly being updated. So you're able to change this how you see fit. So we're saying for some reason, 2 of my drivers I have go in and manually assign calls to, could you tell me what is I'm doing wrong? The only way your drivers, so there's a new feature that just came out where the drivers, it would have to be turned on. We didn't turn it on by default, but there is an option where the drivers, and it's more for private property type calls. They can go in if they're at that location, or if you do private property towing, if they're at that location, they can start a call. What they start the call with is it's asking them to put the VIN number in. So they put the VIN number in. They put the license plate in. It generates the VIN from the license plate. It gives them the car, make, and model. They verify it's all correct, hit OK. Based on where they're at in because it reverse geocodes where the drivers or whatever lot that they're at, it automatically picks an account for them based on your account list, assuming there's an address on there again. It's all, we might have to go through settings if you want to use this. But it reverse geocodes where that driver's at, picks the account correctly. Most of that should be filled in for the driver. You can set up a lot of the defaults automatically for them. They can add any additional services they need to, pick which lot they're taking it to, assuming it's a different lot, or if you have multiple lots. Click OK. The call's automatically assigned to that driver, and then it's marked as arrived. So I don't know if that's what they're doing right now. You would have had to turn that on, though, for that to work. So if you didn't know about it, I'm assuming it's not on. The only other way that they could possibly be assigning calls would be that they have a login for dispatch, because the driver login doesn't work on the DA mobile app, but there is a DA mobile app where you can dispatch in the field. So if they have a login for that, they could be assigning calls through that. So I'm not sure if that's what they're doing. We'd have to take a look at your account, but we could go through all your users to make sure that's not the case, or possibly stop anything you don't want them to do. Make sure was that the right. So my drivers I have go in and manually assign calls. So I just want to make sure, was it the drivers that are assigning the calls then, or you can't assign it to 2 of your drivers? I want to wait for that. I'm going to open up I'm going to bring over our settings page here for you in a second too. All right, here it is. So I'm going to drag this over. This is the settings page that I was talking about previously. You can get to it from the settings up here, or you could just go to the website, and the website's just settings.dispatchanywhere.net. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it here. Oh, you're welcome. Let's see. Is there a way to change the notifications the driver receives every time I make an update? Is there an alert they get when they receive a new call? Are we asking to have a different sound when you update the call versus the one when you assign it? Because if you let's say this is assigned to, like, this is assigned to Nick, for example. If I go back into this call and I update, maybe I add notes, customer owes $100, whatever it is, and I resave it. Nick would have gotten an alert on his phone that the call's been updated. But if you're asking for a different alert tone from the dispatch versus an update, no, we don't have that, but that's a really good idea. So I am going to jot that down and bring it up in the next meeting, because we could have different alerts for different actions that happen. Oh, you're welcome. I can't assign them. When I go to the dispatch, I have to manually select 2 specific drivers. I'd have to log into your database. My guess is it's not assigning or linking the truck and the driver together, or there might be a setting, or the division might be incorrect. We might have to take a look at all that and fix it, but we can give you a call and log into your database and take a look. It's usually a setting, but yeah, we could log in, we could take a look for you. In the new system, if you assign a call, so if I have, I'm just going to take Austin, for example. If I dragged Austin up to this, he's not assigned to a vehicle. So if I picked a vehicle, let's just say this flatbed here, and I assigned it, once Austin gets that call and timestamps it en route, it will automatically link that driver and truck together. We could do it ahead of time if we wanted to as well. If you're linking your drivers, previously in DA2 you had to drag the truck over to the driver. If you hover over the driver's name, though, there's a little option here, this little link to vehicle button, and I can manually pick that truck and hit OK. It's kind of hard to see because it's over here, but now Austin's assigned to that flatbed here. So when I drag him up to the call now, it should automatically have Austin in that flatbed he's assigned to. The other way your drivers can get assigned to a vehicle, let me hit cancel here. In our report section under admin, these QR codes, I'm just going to run it for all of our trucks here. Each of these trucks now has a QR code or a scan code that they can use. So when the driver signs into their app, or they can switch it while they're actively logged in, they can scan into whatever truck that they're getting into. So what happens is, 1, it assigns that driver the correct truck. And then 2, we have a new feature where you can set up a list of like a driver checklist feature. You may want them to check over, the gas tank's full, the tires are inflated, the headlights are working, whatever things that you need them to check over, like a pre-trip inspection. If anything fails, you would get an email now that, truck so-and-so's, the Matt truck failed inspection, and you would see what passed and what failed. We'll also have a report in here. Again, it's going to be under the admin reports. That's going to have that information. It's still being finished. You will get the report to your email, though, if it's set up ahead of time if it fails. But if you need to see stuff that passed as well as failed, it's going to be a report in here. It's just not finished yet. While we're in here, a lot of customers have asked about this email and fax log. Whenever you send an email or fax from the software now, it's recorded. So if you need to see, let's go back on here. It's probably been a while since anybody sent anything. Let's go back a couple of months. Oh, here we go. So I can see who sent the email in this case, the date, time, who it was sent to, whatever the subject line, and then if it was a report, it would tell me if it was a report or an invoice that was sent. So if you have a customer that's saying, hey, you guys sent my statement or you faxed my invoices over, I didn't receive it, this is going to tell you at least where it's been sent to. There was a problem with faxing here a little bit ago. It should be cleared up. I know, Vinny's, you guys were having trouble with it. The ones I've been checking on and off since that issue has been resolved, or at least I haven't seen anything kick back. So if you guys still are seeing any accounts that aren't getting faxes, let me know. But that should have been cleared up probably about a month ago. Or if they're off duty. Or if they're off duty, yeah, you can change their statuses here as well. If they're scanning into their truck, it should automatically put them back on duty. If they sign out of their app, it's going to automatically put them as off duty. So if they're in gray, unless somebody manually put them there, you can assume that they're not signed into their app. So those colors should be switching automatically. The only other thing that's really on the drivers are the call counts we can see over here. Now, some of you may have noticed that these call counts are off for some accounts. If they're off, let us know. We can reset them for you or fix them. The developers are working on that, though. It has something to do with the division settings, so they're in security settings. So they're fixing that now, so that should be ready for testing and hopefully deployment here in a couple of weeks. But if you see your call counts off on your drivers or vehicles, let us know, because we can fix that for you. But it is kind of something that carried over, it seems, from DA2. It just wasn't noticed as much in DA2 because there wasn't really a count showing on that. But if you see that, like I said, let us know. We can always fix that for you. So let me bring up our settings page now. So this I can do, again, a whole training just on settings because there's so much of it. So I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked about it specifically, though. In our division settings, so if I do like green light towing, for example, someone asked how to add a logo right down here. So if it's saved to a computer or a file, we can browse for it and upload it, and that will start appearing on our invoices and statements right away. And then we had, what was the other one? It was about add or remove new accounts and employees. Users. So again, this is our green light towing. Now we may need to do this for customers or for possibly your dispatchers to get logged into the new system. So this is going to list everybody on the account. Now our account obviously has a bunch of people in it. Anybody that has this little admin next to them, these are going to be people that are allowed to make these changes with a password. So if we need either new company admins, maybe the person that was originally set up is no longer there, or we need to make additional people company admins, we can do that. Just give us a call. It's a quick form that we have you sign. If you don't have this company admin feature and you sign into settings, you won't see half of this stuff here. So you'll know right away whether you have it. If you don't see users as soon as you log into settings, chances are, or not chances are, you aren't a company admin. So we can make you one if we need to, but if you're a company admin and I'm adding a new dispatcher, hit add. I make a new username now, whatever password I want for them, first name and last name. I can set them to a certain division if I want to, or I can leave them in all division if they're going to take calls for both. You can set a department for them. You will not see this checkbox. The only reason I see it is because I'm a super admin for all the accounts. So we can, that's what I was talking about, where we can make people company admins for you. It's just a form that we require. But comments, these are internal. You only see these. And then you can select security roles for your dispatchers. Let me just click on Eric here, for example. If I have an existing user, your user PIN is probably, or your username is probably your PIN from DA2. That's why it's down here. You probably don't want to use a PIN number every single time you log into the new system now. You may be used to it because you used our DA mobile app. A lot of people have said, though, they'd rather have a username. You can clear this out and make whatever username you want. A lot of people have been doing first initial, last name, something along those lines. Or if you have some sort of username that you use all the time, you can use that instead. It's typically easier to remember an actual username versus this random 5-digit code that we assigned. So you can change that now. Then you can also change your password. Anything that has to do with passwords, in the previous system, we were showing the passwords. We no longer do that. In the new system, if you don't remember what your password is, you do have to change it. If your users are trying to, or any other dispatchers are trying to log into the system and they can't log in, let's see if we have like this. You're trying to log in, it says invalid username or invalid password. They're probably typing the right information. You're going to need to come in here and update their password. You can usually make it the same thing as long as it's at least 5 characters long, but you may need to update their password for them to log in. If you're still having trouble with it, or the user's having trouble with it, have them give us a call. We can reset it for you as well. Once it's reset the first time, it's typically fine. So that's usually the number one problem that we're seeing. It doesn't affect everybody. It's only a handful, if anything. But if you're having trouble with it, let us know. We can reset those for you. Now, as far as a driver, if you're entering them in here, so again, I have my driver list. This is going to be very similar, almost identical to what you're used to. Out of DA2, you're still putting the same type of information in. Admin, our inactive button, just like before. The only thing you don't see right away is these app, and I'm going to show you a real profile. The apps, take a book and images settings here, or tabs here. And you don't see that until you save the initial driver. Once they're saved, so like I'll pick Mike here. We get the rest of these tabs up top. So we can set their commissions if we need to. The apps tab though is where you're setting up the usernames and passwords like we're used to in DA2. You can make up whatever username and whatever password you want for the new drivers right from here. But again, if you're having trouble with that, let us know. I also have a couple help articles on this stuff in our help section. So if you have any problems with it, there's help there, but obviously you can always give us a call. We can help you with that as well. And then accounts, if we're adding new accounts. This is our account list. This is what you're used to seeing when you log into DA2, just a list of all your accounts. These are all still here. The same type of information that you're used to seeing is here. This remarks box down here, we were asking about before if we're going to be able to see that in the dispatch side. This is what's going to be carrying over for us, either to the call and then also the apps. Again, apps probably first, but then somewhere on the accounts somewhere. When you take a call, it will be there, but this is the section or the information that's going to be carried over. I know for some customers, formatting was off just a little bit, so we're fixing that as well. But once that's done, it should be released so you can use it. So the only other thing I really kind of want to cover in this section quickly is DA driver settings, because we talked about this a little bit. So each of your divisions or locations can possibly have different settings, but this is what I was talking about before. Right here, this allow drivers to edit services. If you put this on here, they could add services to the call. But if I unselect these ones, this is add services, and if this is selected, this is add services and see the pricing. And if I have this selected, this is add services, see pricing, and then being able to edit pricing. So if I don't want them to see any of that, but I want them to maybe add that GOA service, for example, I can just have this selected. Maybe we don't want them to take payments, so we can shut that off. We do have a new feature in here as well. If the driver timestamps the call, arrival to destination, we can, if this is selected, this will allow them or automatically prompt them for who they're handing the keys to. So maybe it's a dealership they're taking it to, or maybe it's the customer. They would type that person's name in on their phone, and then there's a spot for them to sign right on the phone. So then that signature is captured, date and time stamped, all that stuff. So then maybe this dealership calls you tomorrow. Hey, you guys dropped the car off here. Where are the keys? You can open up that call and be like, oh, Matt over at the front desk signed for him yesterday. You guys have the keys. My driver handed them over. And then the last option, this is newer within the last couple of weeks here, allow drivers to create jobs. If this is selected, this is that thing I was talking about with the private property accounts. It allows your drivers to start a call in the field, and it will automatically assign the call to them and then mark them as arrived if they're doing the call in the field. So if you want your drivers to be able to do that, we need to make sure that this is turned on. But that's mainly your settings. But again, I can go into detail with this, but this would be a whole nother 90-minute training just on settings. But if we have anything, just any general questions about settings, I can answer them here. Or if we have any other general questions about the dispatch side, I can go over those as well. Well, it doesn't look like we have, let's say anybody, oh, there's one. Is there an IM feature? I knew that was going to come up. Not yet. The IM feature that was in DA2 is no longer supported or upgraded, so we weren't able to get it in the web version of the new software. We are working with a company though that will allow that. That integration is happening, it's just not there yet. So yes, there will be an IM feature. In the meantime, we're directing customers to possibly use maybe another sort of IM program like Skype of some sort until we have that feature. But currently it's in basically development at this time. How do we post and send invoices? I can show you that. IM's like instant message or some sort of like chat program built into the software. DA2 had a chat feature. You could either chat between dispatchers, multiple dispatchers within the software. They also had a feature if one of us was logged in, you could chat with us as well. But yeah, like I said, it's under development, so we'll have something like that in the future, definitely. Nothing with drivers, but that's going to go hand in hand with the new one. Before it was only between dispatchers, but we would have the new one is going to be allow you to do it with the drivers. So that is coming. Like I said, probably a couple months out from that, but it is something that we are working on. So let me show you. Let's go to. So we're asking about posting and sending invoices. So in our accounting section, this is going to show you. This is just a quick 30-day number. So jobs that are, in our case, we have 31 jobs that haven't been posted, 7 open invoices that haven't been paid, and then 13 payments in the last 30 days. But if I hit create invoices or post jobs, it's the same thing. This will default to today's date. Now again, in our test database, nothing's been finished out. But if I set my little filter, I'm just going to pick, we'll just pick this month, for example. Most people do this daily, so you might just be picking yesterday. So I'm going to do, let's say, this month. I can do a certain bill to or a certain account, a certain driver, a certain job number if I wanted to, or even include my impounds. I'll just do a search, though. I have nothing from this month. Let me do anytime. I might be pulling, there it goes. I'm pulling a lot of data here. So if I choose anytime, this is every single call in my system that's never been posted. So in my case, I have 675 calls. So this is somewhat newer. Previously, again, in DA2, it only pulled in 99 line items at a time. So assuming you had 3 line items on every single call, you would have pulled in 33 calls. Let's say you did 50 calls that day. What would happen is you would post that first page and then the next batch would load in the second time around. This doesn't have that limitation. This is just going to show you every single call at once. So I could drop down each individual call here to see what services are on it. And it warns me, previously again in DA2 it was highlighted red when there was a problem. This has a warning over here instead. And this will warn you, is there a problem with your call, meaning it's missing information, or is there a problem with your services? Like these calls have a problem with our services. Problems with services, we'll open one of these here. It's typically our mileage. We have our mileage services on here, and we never use the calculator. So if I was to fix this call, so I go, oh, this one was already paid. I don't want to use that one. This one's good. So let's just say my dispatcher didn't run mileage, so I'm going to run it real quick here. Well, that's a far one. Save it. When I run mileage on a call, it's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit grayed out here. The mileage is going to be right next to the services here. So we can tell right away that it has been run or the calculator has been used. But also I don't have a warning on my job anymore. So I would select whatever I need to select. And I can do an override now. So if they are red like this, but I'm like, no, this is correct. The information that's on the call I don't care about. I can override these and just select them now. And then hit save invoices. So I get a green check mark next to them, and then when I load my filter in next time, or next time I come into this screen, the calls that I've posted are going to be gone. I'm trying to see if I have a -2 invoice somewhere. Every once in a while, if I post a call here, I'll do something here to show you. If you post a call and then you go back and add a service later on, sometimes you see that you have a -2, -3, -4 invoice. It's doing that because you're adding services after the call's been posted. Let's go back into this call. So 7968. So we're going to go into this call. And there is a button now across the top. If I need to post one individual call, I can do that. So if I'm working my way, and I need to post that one call, previously you had to go to the posting screen, select the date range or select the call specifically, post it, and you're done. We added a button up across the top to make it easier. So let's just say I wanted to post this one call. For whatever reason, I'm only going to post that tow service, or that's the service that got posted for whatever reason, and I hit save invoice. The next time I go to post that call, or the remaining services that haven't been posted, in this case it's mileage and en route, it's trying to put these on a -2 invoice. And you're like, nah, I don't want that as a separate invoice. This is all supposed to be part of one invoice. That's what this merge button does right here. So I can merge and push all this stuff back into my -1 invoice. Select it and save it. So if you ever see a -2, it's typically because you're adding services after that call's been posted. And if you want it all on one invoice, or to submit that, especially to the motor clubs, as one invoice, you need to make sure you merge it back to a -1 invoice. I missed 10 minutes of training. Did you show how to change the logo? Yeah, I'll quickly show you here. In the settings page, the new settings page, under divisions. So if you have multiple divisions, you might need to upload it a few times. So if I hit green light towing, down here if I hit browse, I would find the file wherever it's saved on the computer, and then I can upload it to my invoices and statements. It also shows on the receipts too. So, but you just have to do it through your settings page now. If you need help with it though, give us a call. We can log in with you and help you upload it too. Most people haven't seen the new settings or worked in the new settings yet, so we might need to help you with that too. Is texting customers the driver's ETA in development, or pinging them for their exact location? I believe that's coming. So that IM feature that we're working with, the company can do a lot of that stuff too. So sending that stuff out to the customer we have the only thing that's really in there right now, I'm just going to pick a call, is the email function. Now we have integration with White Rail right now, and I believe one other company, but most of our customers have it or just with White Rail. What that does, if we have an email address and you have that integration, this would send out a survey to your customers to give you feedback, and I believe it posts on some different social media sites as well. That's working now, but the texting the ETA to the customer is hopefully coming within that update with the instant message thing. When you're talking about pinging, are you talking about pinging the customer or the driver? Because the driver should be pulling that information back already. We made a couple changes with that so it's a little bit closer. But if you're talking about pinging the customer, we already have that feature. If you need to ping the customer, if you put their cell phone number here, this little button, this locate owner or locate customer button, what happens, Beacon charges $1 every time you use this feature, and it's going to locate that customer with up to 90% accuracy. You're going to tell the customer that they're going to receive a text message with a 4-digit code that they need to give back to you. So I'll go ahead and send one over to my phone here. So hit OK. So if I get a text message here, at least if I can find my phone, we're going to find out here in a second. Yeah, let's see if it will ping my phone here. Oh, here it goes. All right. So the pin I got was 0413. Hit OK. So I put that 4-digit code in, and I should get a map here. Now I'm on our Wi-Fi, so this usually when I'm on our Wi-Fi it throws it off just more than a little bit, but I'll show you here if it finds it. I'm on a different Wi-Fi. Hold on, we'll see if this comes up here. This may or may not work. If it can't find the customer, it doesn't charge. Here it is. So this found, now again, because I'm on Wi-Fi, it's going to throw it off. Obviously, the customer that's stranded isn't going to be on any sort of Wi-Fi, but this says I'm in the neighborhood of about 7 miles, which it's not going to help you at all. A customer, it's not going to be that much. It gives you a nearby address, a nearby landmark, in this case, this transportation center. Do you want to use this address? If I hit yes, this will change your call with that updated information. And give you your landmark. And all this information is sent over to the driver. But as long as you have a cell phone number here and you hit this little button, this will locate the owner or the customer for you in the field. But again, your customer won't be on any sort of Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi throws it off, like I said, 6-7 miles every single time. If I wasn't on Wi-Fi, it would have been within about a quarter of a mile typically. I get that. So highways, stuff like that, it helps out. I know. What other questions do we have? Either about the software or just questions in general about where to find stuff. Oop, I do want to show you. Hold on. Let me go back to the accounting section. They asked about Motor Club billing. Submitting invoices, so that's posting, and then submitting your Motor Club invoices are all going to show here. I have a huge list that loads in again because it's our test database. So it's going to show, so we have, in this case, yours won't be non-Motor Club accounts, but like BG Auto, I have 85 invoices that need to be sent still, or they have problems with it. And all my different Motor Clubs would appear in this screen. I would just select whichever ones I want to send, or select all of them, depending on if the date ranges are okay. Hit send invoices, and these are going to shoot off to the different Motor Clubs. I'm going to get critical errors on mine because these are non-Motor Clubs, so they're not linked up to anything, but you should get a green check mark if they were successful. You may get an edit like these ones, and you could usually fix it, or at least it will tell you what's wrong with it from this screen. So you may need to fix your invoices if I've seen, if you missed putting mileage on a call, or just something happened where you were missing information. You may need to fix it here and then resubmit it. If you're getting these critical errors like this, let us know. It's one of two things. Either there's a settings problem, or there was something on the server that went kind of haywire and caused this. If we need to clear these, we can for you. Usually you should never see these though. Most of the time I see it's a settings problem. But if you're getting them, let us know. Again, we can fix all those. Or if you're getting a lot of edits on your jobs, call us, let us know. Usually if we do 1 or 2 trainings with you, there's usually just something you're missing when submitting them, and we can help you get it fixed so that they're more successful. But most of our Motor Club billing, they put a lot of work into it over the last 6-8 months. So the success rate has been definitely increased as it was previous. So let us know. We can help you with Motor Club billing too. Close that job here too. What other questions do we have? Paying a customer says it charges $1. Can we disable that feature? Are you trying to just disable it so your dispatchers don't use it at all? That's been asked off and on from customers in the past. They never had an option to disable it. They might not, depending on with this new service or this new integration, I believe it's going to kind of incorporate that within it. So I don't know if it's going to actually charge you in the future, but I could be wrong about that. Currently, no, there's no setting to disable it. But again, it might be changing because it's changing with that instant message feature as well. Yeah, there's been a lot of customers that have asked to disable it. Are you seeing additional charges on your Beacon invoices for that? Are the dispatchers using it without letting you guys know? Or is it just something you want to be able to control at this time? I can see if we can maybe build it in ahead of time. So before we get that instant messaging. I'll talk to the developers about it. I'll bring it up on Monday's meeting. Yeah, it makes sense, Control. Let me bring it up, see what we can do. Like I said, it might not even be a issue with the new integration, but I'll find out. We'll talk to them on Monday. I'll keep you guys posted. What I'll have you guys do too, if you wanted to, if you want to put your email addresses in the chat box, I'll send you a recap of the meeting today. I'll send you some of our help articles. Obviously, you'll have my contact information if you want to shoot me messages or call me. I can help you out too. Emergency options only. Okay, that definitely makes sense. I would say it'd probably be set as a security option then. You may maybe only give certain people that security option. I'll talk to them about it though. But yeah, if you put your email addresses in, this meeting will be posted to our YouTube channel. Like I said, about a half hour after the meeting. So if you want to rewatch it, or just again, if you have questions, you can always email me. But if you put your email addresses in the chat, I can send you some information. You a quick overview of lien and certified letters to customers. I'm going to say no on that because tow lien is not something that I cover at all. That's a Dan question. He would be able to cover all that for you. I can show you that we have letters already pre-filled in the software, but that's about as much knowledge as I know about our tow lien product, because Dan and Jen and Amber all cover that part of it. If we go to the lien section within a call, if we have letters for that state, they would show up here. If it is a full lien processing state though, you won't see the letters in here. You would just do it through towlien.com. But if you let me know a telephone number, I can, or an email address, I'll make sure Dan, Jen, or Amber get in contact with you, and they'll be able to walk you through a demo of exactly how that works. I just don't have enough knowledge about that product to walk you through it. I apologize. You know the date of when there will be a video on settings. My guess is I'm probably going to do a settings video, not next week because it's a shorter week with the holiday. It'll probably be the following week. I'm going to do another live stream probably with settings. If you want to see something before that, let us know. We can get you on the training schedule. I can just do a one-on-one session with you as well. Yep, I want to do a video on accounting as well, or a live stream on accounting. People do accounting a little bit different from company to company. I can cover the basics of it. If we wanted to get into very specifics, we might want to set up a one-on-one training, but I definitely plan on doing another stream on accounting. I'll probably just continue to do these streams probably on a weekly basis. A lot of people asked about not doing them on Friday or requested not doing them on Fridays. So I may switch them to like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Seems to be better days for a lot of customers. So we'll probably have like 1 to 2 live streams a week going forward, minus next week, like I said, because it's a short week. But other than that, I plan on doing these more and more in the future. Are we looking for a training video like I did with the update videos? Or are we looking for more of a live stream video? I have plans for other videos that I'm going to be posting. Whenever there's an update to the system, I try to get an update video out as fast as possible, so people know what changed in the system, how to use it, how it works, and so forth. But yeah, these live streams seem to be working pretty good. This is the second one we've done. Got a lot of positive feedback on it, so that's right. So we can tune in. No, Mondays. Yeah, Mondays seem to be a bad day for everybody. A lot of people said Fridays aren't the greatest either. So usually midweek, a lot of people were saying it's better. But I'll probably do, like I said, a couple of them per week going forward. Again, a lot of people were asking, just try to definitely avoid Mondays and avoid Fridays, so we can definitely do that. Yeah, I can definitely do the live streams for all of this, but I'll probably do a separate video just on the more specific instead of being a live stream too. You'll probably see those posted up, but keep an eye on our YouTube channel. I'm always adding stuff to it, but we'll send another email out if we're going to do a live stream. I have the link for our Facebook in the section below. We're constantly putting stuff on our social media, so if you want to follow our Facebook page, we have a lot of when videos are updated, when we're doing live streams, so it's another way just to kind of keep in contact with us. But yeah, those will be those will be coming in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably have an email and something on social media by next week, letting you know the days. Again, most likely it's going to be like a Tuesday and probably a Thursday, something like that. So a lot of good questions. What else do we have, or is there anything else specific that we want to see in the software? Here, this came up finally. These are the Ohio letters, so there's 2 in here. Basically, if the letters are in here, you print them out. The information from the call feeds over, but you print them out and you send them yourself. But with tolling, it does all that for you automatically. That's assuming we're in that state. So I know they're finishing up some of the Ohio stuff. Louisiana is definitely working. We're in a bunch of states right now, and they're going to be adding states as they go forward. But I'll have Dan get in contact with you and kind of show you a one-on-one how that works. Save that. What other questions do we have? If there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream today. Again, thank you for everybody that joined, participated in the chat today. We'll still be doing this in the future, but if again, if you want to leave your email address in the chat box there, I'll go ahead and copy it and I'll put it in and I'll send you out an email with my contact information, and then I can keep you updated with live streams. If you follow, I know if you follow the YouTube channel, it notifies you when we go live or if a new video is posted. And then if you follow, like I said, our Facebook, pretty much daily at this point, we've been posting new videos that have come out, and I think the last like 2 or 3 days he's had the link up for the live stream today. But it's different. We have 2 different companies. Is there a way to use different logos? Yes, as long as they're set up as 2 separate divisions and they're separated within the settings, absolutely. We can. Each division has a setting for logos, so you can upload one to each division. So if we were in settings here, so like I have like this green light division. I doubt there's anything. Oh, we do have, okay. So this M2 division has this beacon logo. So we can upload different ones depending on which division it's printed from. I don't think the other ones. Yeah, see, we have different ones for each of them. So yeah, whatever division is that, well, division that call is run under is the logo that will appear on the invoice or statement or receipt for the customer. I just don't have any in here. We always run everything under green light. Save that. What other questions do we have? Anything else before we wrap up here today? All right, again, I want to thank everybody for spending some time with us today. If you have questions on the new system, just give us a call. Our support, always available 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. We do have emergency support after hours. We just ask that it truly is an emergency. Things like, my system's not working, I can't log into the system. There's always somebody available to help you out. But normal support Monday through Friday. Training schedule, whenever you want one-on-one training. Training's included. You never pay anything extra for it. Some people are always scared and they ask us, I never want to do training because I don't want to pay for it. Well, training doesn't cost you anything. If you need additional training, we want to make sure you guys are happy with the software, you can use it. Just let us know, we can get you on the training schedule. Usually spend about an hour or 2 on a different section or something you want to cover. And if we need multiple sessions, we just set up multiple sessions for you. So we can definitely do that. Very welcome. Have a good day. Thanks, guys. Again, if you want to put your email address in, I'll shoot you an email. If not, just give us a call if you want to get on the Training That Go Tribe. Absolutely. If you want to get a training schedule, let me know. But expect another live stream within about, like I said, about 2 weeks. We'll start doing them probably once or twice a week. So I'll just avoid definitely Mondays and probably Fridays going forward. But thanks again for your time. We appreciate you guys being here. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Thanks.